Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over deck list for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, yes, I know Obi-Wan Kenobi is not going to be the best leader in the upcoming set, but he is my favorite character, so I'm going to be making a deck list most likely for every color down the line. I started off with double blue, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. The deck is interesting. I don't think it's going to be obviously like top of the meta, but like it's still a lot of fun, and the way that I built it is just trying to sustain yourself, protect your base, and then you can go either two different ways depending on what you're playing against, and you can hit up your sideboard and stuff like that, but we'll go over that in a little bit. But again, if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that sub button. Support is always appreciated. And with the new set coming out, you know how we always like to do a giveaway when the new set comes out. So we're going to be doing a giveaway on November 6th, opening up a case on the channel as we always do, and then we're going to be giving away, after 3 boxes, a starter deck and some premium tokens. And then after we finish up the case, we're going to be giving away a box and some premium tokens. So no matter what, whoever wins either one will be getting the premium tokens, but also potentially a starter deck or a new or an unopened box of Twilight of the Republic. So if you want to tune into that, it's going to be November 6th, 7 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. We always do this. Last time, the person who won for set 2 got a hyperspace foil maul, and then set 1, someone got a showcase and a Luke, and so it's always been a lot of fun. We always talk about the new set, kind of just, you know, just have a good time. So if you want to tune into that, November 6th, again, 7 p.m. Hope to see you there. Also, if you guys are in the Myrtle Beach area and you are around here on the 1st or the 3rd, make sure you stop in and check out the pre-release. We're going to be holding our pre-release event at 7 p.m. at Myrtle Beach Games. I believe it's probably going to be $30 entry. I might have made a mistake on the graphic, but it's $35 right now. Might go down to 30 depending on how I do the math when we get our product in. But again, Twilight of the Republic right around the corner. Pre-release is this upcoming weekend. And so let's talk about my boy Obi-Wan. Let's go over the leader first, as we always do. He, for an action, can heal 1 damage from a unit, which is kind of cool. If you want to go ahead and build your deck around maybe sentinels or things that you heal your base that you want to have maybe some longevity on them, you can use Obi-Wan to heal them so they stay on the board a little bit longer, which is essentially how I built this deck, right? Then, when you have 6 resources, epic action, you get to flip him. He's a sentinel, so when you flip him and having a sentinel pretty much on command is actually pretty cool. He's a 4/7, so he has a pretty good amount of HP, can hit back decently. 4/7 for 6 is a pretty decent stat line, right? But on attack, you may heal a unit 1 HP, and you can deal that damage back if you do heal something. So you can go ahead and ping something, maybe finish something off that has hit one of your sentinels, which is a lot of fun. So that's typically like a pretty solid ability. I'm not going to say it's like over the top broken, but coming out on 6 is also a little bit rough. But I do think that, you know, in a more casual setting, this is a more fun deck and stuff like that. But it can do really well against aggro, right? I've been playing this deck against Sabine a lot, and it does handle its own. Not going to win every single time, but it does kind of handle Sabine. It'll still struggle against control, but I have the sideboard for that, and then it becomes really fun in terms of the control matchup, and I'll kind of go over that in a little bit. And then also Boba Fett probably will still give this thing a little bit of troubles, but it can potentially get over that hump. It just depends on how you play the deck, right? So let's go over the base. It's just a 30 HP blue base. Being able to play double blue gives you access pretty much to the only thing we're really going for at 4, which everyone will know is Vigilance. I wanted to add Bendu and other things, but the way that I built it, I didn't really do that. And then, yeah, so I do think we're just going to go ahead and hop right into the deck list. Let's start off with our low cost cards, right? It's going to be a little different than normal. We're going to go back to our old way, but for right now, we're just going to rock it this way. We have Moisture Farmer. It's just a restore to 1-drop 0/4. So it's not going to do any damage, but it's going to heal your base, keep you going a little bit longer. If your opponent doesn't take care of it, then you're healing 2 each turn. It's actually not that bad. And then if your opponent is spending resources to get rid of it, so you don't heal that much, then they're spending their actions to do that rather than hitting your base. Again, providing you more longevity. I have Barriss here as a 2-of. I had R2-D2. You can go either way there. R2-D2 I think does do more for you in the fact that it can like have you go through your deck and stuff like that. But I went Barriss because the deck does have some pretty good draw. I've been drawing a ton of cards playing this deck, which is actually really good because then you're going to see a lot more of your cards that you need at certain situations, right? I went Barris because if you do heal something, it does get stronger. So that's the real thing I wanted to go ahead and add Barris for. Because later on in the game, when you have Obi-Wan out and Obi-Wan swinging and healing himself because he has a sentinel, maybe he took some damage, you can go ahead and have him swing for 5 potentially, which would be pretty good. And then also being able to heal his 1 damage and fling it back on something, you can maybe use Obi-Wan to take care of a threat if you have to do that, because he's swinging for 5 and he's dealing 1 back with Barris. So like it's pretty good combination. Also, it works well with Queel, and obviously we'll get there in a little bit. But the final 1-drop we have is I have the High Ground, one of my favorite cards in the set. This goes really well with your Sentinels. Or if you just want to use it to keep one of your things that restore on base or on field. So like if you have something that's restoring yourself and maybe you give it an upgrade to make it a little bit stronger, it's healing for more, you know, you can go ahead and put in I have the High Ground, and then they're taking 4 less back. Now, yes, it is still susceptible to removal, but things that have to swing into it, which is why it's really good with Sentinels, because you can have things swinging for way less damage. Now we're going into our 2-drops. We have the Restored Arc 170. It's just a restore unit. It's really good. Space, you know, is a staple in these types of decks. I have 2 Devotion, just so I can kind of give Restore to maybe a Sentinel or to something else, one of my bigger units, to then again keep my base healthy, maybe in the mid to late game. I do feel like putting this onto Obi-Wan or, you know, Ki-Adi-Mundi or something like that, like my bigger units, maybe give Luke Restore 5, which would be kind of crazy, but still, like, it's really just for the mid game. So like you're trying to maybe add it into maybe Kanan or Ki-Adi-Mundi, just so you can get some more heals at that point of the game. Restore 2 plus, it gives it +1/+1, so it's not too bad there. It binds all things, something that really didn't see much play until now. I think you are going to see more of this card going around. It does go pretty well in this deck. We have a ton of Force units. It's not going to work for Barris, obviously, because she only has 1 HP. Unless you give her a Force Lifesaver, then you can, a Jedi Lightsaber, you can then go ahead and heal 2, but it's not really worth it, right? It binds all things, is going to be used for like Yoda if it's left on 1 HP, being able to heal 3, fling it back, keeping Yoda on the board to restore a little bit more. You can use it on Kanan to fling back damage, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Obi-Wan, Luke, and then Obi-Wan Leader as well. And then on top of that, if you just want to heal up your other units, as long as you control a Force unit, that's when you're going to be flinging back the amount of damage that you are healing. So if you have Barris on board, you're not going to be healing her, but you can go ahead and maybe heal up something else and then fling back that damage, maybe like Redemption or AT-TE. But like, again, you have multiple options to have this fling back damage because you do have a lot of Force units in this deck. And so it's just good. It's a pretty decent way to remove something that maybe swung into a Sentinel and stuff like that, right? One of the most important cards in the deck. If you get Quill first turn, it is ideal. It has Restore 1, which is pretty cool. It's a 2-drop, 2/3, but on attack, you get to discard a card from your deck. If it shares an aspect with your base, you get to draw it. And everything in this deck has blue aspect, which is why I dropped R2-D2. Mainly because I'm super unlucky, and when I was using Quill, I was always getting R2-D2 off those draws. I had R2-D2 as 2 of, and somehow I was always getting R2-D2. And yes, you have the AT-TE you see on the bottom there, but still, more often than not, you are going to be drawing that card. It's going to give you really good card draw, especially in the beginning, which is why I really do love Quill on the first turn. You have 10 first turn options. It can get a little sketchy. I tend to like to have like roughly 12, but 10 is all right. You kind of want to get your Restored Arc or Quill first turn, but if you get Barris or Moisture Farmer is fine, because if they swing into you, you're going to heal 2 of it off anyway. So I think that that's pretty good for the 1-drops. I haven't had a problem too much yet, but again, this is something that's susceptible to change. This is what's been working for me, right? Going into our 3-drops here, we have Yoda. Really solid. Adding into the card draw, this deck has surprisingly a good amount of card draw, which is why I like it. Yoda, it's a Restore 2 unit. It's a 2/4, so it, you know, that 4 butt is not too bad. And then choose any number of players. When it's defeated, you get to draw a card. So you're not going to choose your opponent, but if you're playing maybe Twin Suns, you can use it maybe as some politicking, right? But obviously Yoda's going to help you draw some cards, maybe get to what you need, right? We have Jedi Lightsaber. We have it as 3 of. Again, we have a good amount of Force units we can put this on. I also, sometimes if I have a 1-drop and I have Village Protectors out, right, on turn 4. I'll give this to Village Protectors, make it a little bit beefier with a shield, and then, you know, drop my 1-drop. And so Village Protectors hitting back hard, and I can put down a Moisture Farm for more healing on the 4 resource turn, but still, it's pretty solid, especially if you can manage to get it onto Obi-Wan, because, again, if you attach it to a Force unit on attack, if it's hitting into a defender, it gets -2/-2, so you can maybe hit out those smaller units, which is why I've been doing pretty good against aggro with this deck. This deck is, you know, a ton of restore, some good sentinels, and so it does have a pretty decent matchup into aggro decks, right? Next, we have the Dawn Interceptors. A sentinel, if it gets attacked into it gets +2/+0, so essentially it's swinging into space units that are swinging into it at a 3, but other than that, it does hit for 1. It does have 4 HP, so it's pretty good there. Village Protectors. I hate this card because I played against it with aggro, and it does kick my butt, but now we're using it on our side. We have our stick ladies here. Sentinel and comes in shielded, so it does have that little bit of longevity with being that its first hit it takes, it's going to be shielded and won't die. So that's pretty good there. Going to our 4 drops here, we have Kanan Jarrus. Kanan Jarrus, able to help you heal your base as well. On attack, you discard a card from your opponent's base. It allows you to 1, mill your opponent, 2, heal up your base depending on how many aspects are on that card. So if it's a blue-white card, you're going to go ahead and you're going to heal up. If it's only 1, maybe it's just a red card, you're only going to heal 1, but still 1 HP is better than nothing. And then, obviously, if we had more Spectres, it would be more. But the thing is like, we don't have more Spectres, so we're not going to be milling more than 1 card. But still, 1 is enough to maybe get that 2 HP. Having a restore 2 for a single swing is not too bad. The Force is with me. Again, we have a ton of Force units, so controlling a Force unit is not a problem. You can go ahead and use this on your Village Protectors, give it more of a shield, and then, you know, it's swinging back for 4. That's pretty good. It has more HP. Again, you can give this to your Sentinels, or you can go ahead and you can just give it to a Force unit to maybe swing it to an opponent. It'll be shielded. Then you don't have to worry about it dying, and it's just stronger. Or you can just use it to swing into base with your Sentinel and just give your Sentinel a shield. This way, your opponent is forced to swing into it with a shield, and then it becomes a problem. And that's why it's pretty solid against, this deck is pretty solid against aggro in itself. But the Force is with me. Pretty good card there. We have Vigilance at a 3 of. Again, playing double blue, it's really good. It's a good way to heal your base for 5. And then depending on what you're trying to do, you can go ahead and give your Sentinels some more shields, which is always good. Or you can defeat a card with 3 or less remaining HP. Also a good way to remove some cards there. Or you can mill. And the sideboard is more geared towards the milling aspect of this deck. But again, it's just an option. I typically, for the most part, you are going to be healing 5 from your base, again, to keep yourself in the game. And then what you want to do from there, you can kind of pick. The Razor Crest, I have it a 2 of. I do like it, the fact that it has Restore 2. It's a space unit, so that's pretty nice. And then when played, you can get an upgrade from your discard pile and add it to your hand, which is nice, right? So if you're using Devotion, and it goes to the discard pile, and you play this, you can get Devotion back. Maybe put it on to the Razor Crest, and then it's healing up 4 every swing. But again, to be able to get a Jedi Lightsaber or Devotion back to your hand when needed is just a nice little touch to the card. But it's really there for the Restore 2. Again, adding in more healing to keep you alive in this deck. Next, we have Ki-Adi-Mundi. You could argue that this should be a 3 of, and you're more than welcome to put it as a 3 of. I would probably go ahead Ki-Adi-Mundi to 3 and the AT-TE to a 1. So you're probably going to end up seeing that on the screen. But if not, I would definitely go ahead and do that. Ki-Adi-Mundi at a 3 and the AT-TE down to a 1. But still, Ki-Adi-Mundi is great with Coordinate. An opposing player plays their second card, you get to draw 2 cards, adding to the amount of card draw to this deck, but also the fact that it's a 5/7, it's really good stats. So I just think it's a really solid card altogether. Again, you're getting more card draw. Your opponent is probably going to have to play something to maybe get rid of this. They're probably not going to want this to stick on the board. So it is what it is. And again, you do have to have Coordinate to have that happen. But typically what I found is that, like, when I'm putting all these Sentinels down on the ground, then my opponents will go to space, and then I do typically have a decent amount of units to activate Coordinate to at least get the draw power at least once a game, which is pretty nice. And then again, I can swing in for 5, give it a Jedi Lightsaber. I'm swinging in for 8 while it has 10. It's really nice. devotion, maybe give it some healing. It's just a really solid card stat-wise, and a really good ability if you can get the coordinate to work. The next card I want to talk about is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have it as a 3-of. It's just another Sentinel, but also when defeated, you get to give out 2 experience. And if it is to a Force unit, it does allow you to draw, which again, adding to the card draw in this deck. And I think that that's one of the benefits of this deck is the amount of card draw. So it kind of gives you what you need in certain situations. And I really like that about the deck, which is why I've been having a lot of fun with it. And then again, it is a really decent answer to aggro. So it's been a lot of fun. But again, a Sentinel, a 4/6 Sentinel, has a pretty good butt. And again, you can get Obi-Wan Kenobi and have your leader Obi-Wan Kenobi come out. Though if you have that, they do get to choose which Sentinel they swing into, which is where I have the high ground comes in, and you can just, you know, pick one of them. They don't want to swing into it because they get -4 into their attack. And then, you know, they'll maybe swing into this Obi-Wan, allowing you to power up your other Obi-Wan. It's a big cycle, but a lot of fun. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am a little sad that there is no third movie Obi-Wan in this set, but, you know, they did address that, and hopefully we get one soon enough, right? Next, we have Luke Skywalker. We know what he does. He's a 2-of, restore 3 when played, give an enemy -3/-3 for the phase, but if something on your side has died, you can go ahead and give it -6/-6, which is really solid. With this deck, with a bunch of Sentinels, that is easy to achieve. Even if you want to swing your own unit, you know, I have a Barriss on the field. Have it swing into something, it dies, boom, bring out Luke, -6/-6. Adds to that kind of control aspect if you want to go ahead and do that, because again, this deck doesn't have a ton of removal, which again is what your sideboard is probably going to end up being used for. But still, Luke, very solid card. Definitely, you could argue it should be a 3-of. If you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. If you want to do that over doing the ATTE altogether. If you don't want to do the ATTE at all, right, and you want to maybe just go 3 Luke, 3 Kiademunde, I totally understand. I just wanted to add in the new card, and we'll talk about that, the reason why, in a little bit. Next, we have Redemption. Is another Sentinel and space, so that's pretty good there. It is an 8-cost 6/9, and then when played, you can heal up to 8 HP from it. And if you do that, you can heal your units or base equal to the amount of what you healed. So that's pretty good at maybe getting some of your other Sentinels on the board to live. Maybe Obi-Wan's still rocking, and you want to keep him on the board because maybe he has a Jedi lightsaber or something like that. But also, it just is a good way to kind of keep your base healthy and play this in the late game. Now, again, you don't have to play this card. This could be a 2-of. Again, I probably would move it down to a 1-of, keep Kiademunde at a 3-of, but also maybe just Luke 3 is just better. But the reason that I have this at least as a 1-of is because it gives you restore 3. That's pretty good, right? And then when defeated, you get to create clone trooper tokens. So it allows you to kind of get your board a little bit wider when this thing is taken care of. If your opponent doesn't take care of this, then you're just restoring 3, which again, it's a good way to kind of keep yourself healthy in the late game. And so that's why I kind of went with this. Also, it's a new card. I wanted to try it out. But again, if you want to take out these 2 cards, Kiademunde to a 3, Luke to a 3, completely understandable. But with that being said, this is what we're rocking with our main board. Again, the deck, you want to restore your base a ton. You want to use the Sentinels to kind of protect your base. And then in the mid game to late game, you're kind of putting out your Force units. You're using the Forces with me. That's when you start to go on the offensive. Vigilance, again, to maybe remove something, heal yourself, and kind of go that route. But again, in the early game, you are just restoring as much as possible, keeping your base healthy with Sentinels. And then in the mid to late game, again, you're going to flip that switch, and then you're going to go ahead and start swinging at base or other units to kind of, you know, have that board control. But the need to swing into their units isn't really there for the most part because you have the Sentinels that they have to swing into. So that allows you to focus in on their base with the Forces with me on Kiademunde maybe and hit for 6 or 7. I mean, Kanan Jarrus, you're going to hit for 6. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, you're using Vigilance to heal, keep yourself a little bit healthy in the mid game. And in the late game, you're just getting your big restore units with Luke and the ATTE. Again, big restore units, and then the Sentinel, again, can heal your base a ton or even your units if you need to do it. So I've been having a ton of fun with this deck. Again, it's better against aggro than control and other matchups like that. But if you're going up against those other matchups, maybe like Boba Fett, so this isn't like the end-all be-all against Boba Fett, but against other control decks, right? You can go ahead and shift this to a more mill build, which is when it gets funny because your opponent, who's also playing control, will probably end up trying to use that mill against you as well, right? So we have our sideboard here for now. Again, this is just the starting things of it, and as we continue to play, we're gonna make some adjustments. And again, we're gonna make a bunch of Obi-Wan decks because it is our favorite character. We have Mystic Reflection added to, again, a ton of force units, so you can give -2/-2 to something. This is a cheaper make an opening. You're not gonna get that heal from make an opening, but I do think that this does serve well, especially against someone who's using Lurking TIE Phantom. So that's pretty good there. Entrenched, again, is going to go in with the mill package, so you can use it on your own units, which is what we're going to talk about in a little bit. Hello there, I had to add it into the sideboard. Again, another piece of removal if you want to go with a more removal package. If your opponent has played a card this turn, so something that's entered play this phase, you can give it -4/-4, which is actually really strong, especially for a 3-drop. So they play anything on turn 2, it pretty much will end up getting defeated with a -4/-4. Next we have Satine. Now Satine is where, if you want to go with the mill factor, right? So Satine gives every card this, even your opponent, so keep that in mind. So if you are playing against control, which is when I tend to throw this in, which is really funny, I just think it's a funny way to play against control. But for an action, you get to mill the top 3 cards, or the top cards of your opponent's deck, equal to half of your remaining HP rounded up. So with Satine, you're going to be milling 3 cards. Let's say you bring out Obi-Wan, you're going to be milling 4 cards, right? So it's pretty solid. I do really enjoy the card. It's just, again, it's if you are going up against a deck where they're just killing all your units over and over again. And yes, control can take out Satine really easily if they don't want to deal with you milling. But even if you get it once or twice with a few units, right, then you're using Vigilance to mill 6 of their cards off the top of their deck, and then they kind of have to go from there. So really solid there. And then you have Rival's Fall as a 1-of, but again, you can raise that up if you want to. This is just kind of what I'm rocking in my sideboard. Again, you can change it up if you want to do that. This is a deck that I'm just kind of having fun with, and I know that it's not going to be super competitive, but it's just a fun Obi-Wan deck. And again, I love Obi-Wan, so I'm going to play this for a little bit, and we are going to make some changes, so maybe we'll see an update video down the line. And again, there's tons of space to kind of mess around with this deck. This is just kind of like the bare bones of it. We're going to continue to work on it, and then also we're going to be continuing with other Obi-Wan builds with different colors, just because, again, I love Obi-Wan, and other deck lists as well. I've been working on a few deck lists right now. We got Nala Se, we got Anakin, Ahsoka. I do think Ahsoka is going to be pretty decent in this set, so I've been working on a deck for her. So we have a ton of decks on the list here that we're going to be working on, and we're going to be showing you guys as they kind of come out. But hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys are new here, hit that sub button. Support is always appreciated. Again, don't forget about the giveaways. November 6th, 7 p.m. We're going to be giving away a starter deck premium tokens and a booster box premium tokens. So get ready for that. Hope to see you guys there. And until then, see you guys next time.